Just weeks after the Civil War ended, formerly enslaved people in South Carolina created what many historians now recognize as the first Memorial Day celebration in American history, May 1st, 1865. The history begins at the Washington Racecourse, a former planter's track on the outskirts of Charleston. During the final years of the war, Confederate forces had converted this venue into a makeshift prison for the captured Union soldiers. The conditions were harsh and disease spread quickly throughout the overcrowded facility. By the end of the war, at least 250 Union prisoners had died and been hastily buried in unmarked graves scattered around the grounds. When Charleston fell to Union forces and freedom came to the city's black residents, they looked upon the forgotten graves and decided something had to be done. These men had died fighting for the Union cause that had brought them freedom, and they deserved better than anonymous burial in a former racetrack. Working together over 10 days in late April 1865, about a dozen black Americans from Charleston transformed the burial site. They carefully moved the remains, organizing them into neat rows and building a striking 10-foot white fence around the entire area. Above an archway entrance, they painted Martyrs of the Race Course in bold black letters. On May 1st, 1865, roughly 10,000 people gathered at the racetrack for a day of commemoration. The overwhelmingly majority were black Charleston residents, joined by white missionaries and Union officials. The morning began with a parade of 3,000 black schoolchildren, their voices rising in song as they marched around the track, carrying bouquets of roses. They sang John Brown's Body, the Union anthem that celebrated the abolitionists whose raid on Harper Ferry had helped spark the war. Behind them came representatives from aid societies that had formed to help newly freed black men and women navigate their new lives. Black pastors delivered sermons throughout the day, leading the crowd in prayers and spirituals that had sustained enslaved communities throughout generations of hardship. James Redpath, a white educator who directed Freeman's education efforts in the region, helped organize speeches. The crowd sang patriotic songs, including America Will Rally Around the Flag and the Star-Spangled Banner, songs that now carried new meaning for people who had never before been able to claim full citizenship in the country they celebrated. The afternoon brought military honors as 3 regiments, both white and black Union troops, marched around the decorated graves and performed precision drills. Newspaper correspondents from Charleston and New York struggled to capture the scene's emotional power. The New York Tribune reported witnessing, quote, a procession of friends and mourners as South Carolina and the United States never saw before, end quote. Flowers covered the graves so completely that they appeared as, quote, one mass of flowers, end quote, while tears of joy, end quote, fell from many faces. This Charleston commemoration happened a full year before other American cities began organizing similar Memorial Day observances, and 3 years before the federal government established a National Day of Remembrance. In Charleston in 1865, people who had known bondage created a day to honor those who died for freedom. Their Memorial Day reminds us that the work of building a more perfect union has always depended on ordinary people doing extraordinary things.